Welcome to Big Blend Radio's Food, Wine, and Travel Show, where we go across country and travel the world with members of the International Food, Wine, Travel Writers Association. Let's go. Hey, everybody, welcome. Today we are going to go to Laurel Highlands in Pennsylvania. We're talking about Western Pennsylvania, the southwestern portion, which is beautiful. Nancy and I have traveled through that region. And as soon as I connected with Eric Knopf-Snyder, who's joining us today, he started sending me photos. I'm like, I know I've been there. And then realized, like, obviously we need to go back because we didn't stop and do what we needed to do. So he's here today on our Big Blend Radio Food, Wine, Travel Show with the International Food, Wine, Travel Writers Association to get us up to speed. This is also a destination that is part of the IFTWA conference coming up this year, which is up in the Great Finger Lakes region. Also Steuben, I would say that correctly, Steuben, up in the upstate New York region, but they're connected. So we're going to hear a little bit about that too. But welcome, Eric. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you, Lisa, for having me. Really excited to be on the podcast.
I'm glad to have you here. And so Laurel Highlands, so go laurelhighlands.com. That's the place where everyone should go, right? To your
Yes,
site. Okay, go
absolutely.
laurelhighlands.com, everyone. Go there and then go to Laurel Highlands. But Laurel Highlands, because we've been out in North Carolina recently and the mountain laurel is all in bloom. And I first connected with you actually while we were there, and I'm going, huh, I wonder if that's how you got your name, or is it not? Because you have so much history in your region that it's insane.
We have a ton of mountain laurel here, and it's actually funny. We have 8 state parks, and I think like 6 of them include the word laurel in their name. And it's like, all right, you could have been a little more inventive in coming up with the names for the state parks. But yeah, the mountain laurel is prevalent here, and as you can tell by the highlands and the picture behind you, it is about the mountainous regions here, and that gives us so much of the flavor and brings so much to our region, the geography that we're working with.
It is absolutely beautiful. I mean, and that's why I talked to you before we started recording about the Poconos, which is on the other side. Is this all a region that's kind of connected to, in mountains, or are they separate? Like, I'm
No,
trying to
I
get
mean,
like an idea of topography here.
we're in the Appalachian chain, so we're coming up
Ah,
more from like Kentucky and those parts. And then I'll be honest, I don't know as much about the Poconos. I haven't been there nearly as much,
it was
but
cold when I went
yeah.
there. All I can say is don't go to the top and think you're not going to freeze to death. Like,
Well, see, we've got them beat. We have the highest point in Pennsylvania in the Laurel Highlands as well. So Mount
oh,
Davis is the highest peak in Pennsylvania.
I know going through your area, I remember going like, wow, these are winding roads. It's, hills. It was not what we expected. I think we've we've been all through Pennsylvania and your state. Like somebody said to me the other day, like, oh, well, it's not as much history in Pennsylvania. And I just like, oh my gosh, I'm glad you're on a Zoom call right now because I want to shake you and say, like, what are you talking about? Your state has so much history. I mean, the Revolutionary War, you've got George Washington history, right?
Well,
So
and the
you,
French and Indian War started here in our region.
oh, wow, wow. So lots to experience.
And
So,
then you get into more recent history, and Flight 93 crashed here. So, I mean,
that's
obviously
right.
a big turning point for our country, and the way we responded to that and the passengers and crew aboard that flight did. So yeah, tons of history here.
From, and then Native American, like you're saying, all the way to modern history that is being made. And then you've got the arts history. Frank Lloyd Wright, if I don't bring that up, like,
Yeah, so that's kind of where I start whenever people ask me about the Laurel Highlands is, I kind of start from that big picture of the thing that most people are going to know that when I talk to them about it, I bring up Frank Lloyd Wright's Falling Water. So it is a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
mm,
It was built for the Kaufmans in 1938, and it's the, if listeners don't know, it's the house that's behind me on the podcast. It was built over top of a waterfall, and its cantilever design is amazing. It has been called the best all-time work of American architecture by the American Institute of Architects. So that was in 1991. I don't think their opinions have changed too much, though. It's still
right.
an incredibly popular site. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, draws visitors from all over the world, really, and just an amazing place. If you haven't gotten a chance to go there, it's incredible to see.
Well, I also want to talk about that, you've got some firsts that we should talk about. Like you're the first ever Rails to Trails Hall of Fame inductee, and the Rails to Trails program is really huge. But let's talk about road trips for a second, because I know that you got an accolade for that too. I think it was from Good Housekeeping. I didn't know
Yes,
good housekeepers went on road trips, but apparently they do. I'm glad.
they actually
But
have a travel segment, yeah, that
yeah, yeah.
named us the best scenic road trip in the Northeast. And it's because
Mm.
of the reasons that we're talking about. To me, a lot of it, again, the elevation changes. You can have a beautiful area, but if you can't see it, who knows? If it's all flat, you're not going to be able to see it unless you're flying a drone or flying over in a plane or something like that. Here, we've got incredible changes in elevation. So you can stand on a mountainside and look out over a valley and see everything below. And so it provides great topography to see the different changes in the region.
So with that, I mean the road trip. So why I kind of brought that up is right now as we record, we're in Madison, North Carolina. I'm North Carolina, Madison, Wisconsin. I really do know where we are. But and we're right on this Frank Lloyd trail, right? Frank Lloyd Wright trail. So I'm like going, people could do like a whole Frank Lloyd Wright road trip, because you've got Illinois, right? You've got even Arizona, right? Scottsdale, he did some things out there, but I mean, he kind of did a lot in one region, but it's not far. You're not far away from where we are right now. Unlike Detour, but I don't think you're far, but other people may think, well, that's a little crazy. But when you think of a road trip, you could kind of do that with
Yeah,
Frank
and
Lloyd Wright.
we've actually worked together a few years ago. We worked with Erie and Buffalo and kind of made the
Oh
Great White
yeah.
Road Trip. Yeah, and so what that is again, Frank Lloyd Wright's Falling Water is definitely our most famous structure, and it's been called the most famous private residence in the world. That it's so well known. Last year, it was named the most beloved building in the U.S. by Build World, looking at social media posts and positive posts and things like that. So it's definitely kind of the linchpin that draws people here as far as Frank Lloyd Wright fans.
Mm,
Everybody wants to see this. And just a little bit of info about it. It's open Thursday through Tuesday. The only day it's closed is Wednesdays, and that's through December. Then they close down for a little bit and allow it to, kind of do some things to upkeep on it. But you can go there. They offer guided architectural tours of the home, which are fantastic. That's
mm.
one of the perks of my job is every time a journalist comes in, I get to take them to Falling Water and
Oh,
tour it
cool.
with them. So yeah, I've gotten to know it really well. There are a bunch of different options you can do as far as tours. They even offer a really high-end forest to table dinner that they're going to be holding the next one in July 12th and 13th. So if you're really looking for something unique, you can do that. But
Mm.
yeah, so Falling Water is really the best known one.
The
But then,
iconic one of the country, the most iconic
yes,
of this country. I
absolutely.
mean,
I
or the
mean,
world, of the
really,
world.
as far as Frank Lloyd Wright goes, it and the Guggenheim are kind of the two that he's really known for. Everybody knows about. So those
Mm,
are two of the designs that he's known for. But then we've got a couple that are a little less known in terms of Kentuck Knob, which is only about 7 miles from Falling Water. So it was built by the Hagen family, who had an ice cream company in nearby Uniontown, and they were friends with the Kaufmans who had Falling Water built. And so they said, "Hey, you've got this gorgeous home that Frank Lloyd Wright built. Do you think we could get him to build one for us?" So that's exactly what
mm.
they did. They contacted Frank Lloyd Wright. They got him to design a home for them. And while Falling Water is built over top of a waterfall, Kentuck Knob is built into the hillside so that it
Wow.
kind of, he says that he doesn't want it to be on the hillside. He wants it to be of the hillside.
Right.
You
He's
know,
always about nature. You
right,
work
right.
within
So
nature.
it's a great one to visit as well. I mean, especially if you're here in the region, you're going to Falling Water. I think you have to make that short drive to Kentuck Knob and see it. It is a fantastic one. It was built in the 1950s, And the Hagans lived there until the 1980s, whenever Mr. Hagan became ill and had to get some medical care. And they ended up selling it to Lord Peter Palumbo from the UK. And he lived there for a few years, kind of as a summer home, I believe, and then ended up turning it into something that the public can use and enjoy and see it. So that it's now open to tours, but it's still privately owned, but it
Oh,
is open to the tours.
wow, wow. So you can get three homes, right? Three
Well,
Frank
you can
Lloyd.
get those two, and then there are two more Frank Lloyd Wright
What?
homes at Polymath Park. Yes, so Polymath Park is a little farther away. It's about 25 miles, I
Well, we're
believe,
road
from
tripping. We
Polymath.
don't care.
Yeah,
And we're on
yeah, it's
vacation. Who
nothing
cares?
in the grand scheme of things. It's nothing. You can, if you're adventurous, you can hit all three of these sites in one day if you plan it right. And
Ooh,
Polymath is incredible because it has two homes that were designed by Frank Lloyd Wright and were built. One was built in Minnesota, and another one was built in Illinois. And both of those, the people who owned it, could no longer care for it essentially, and it was kind of getting to the point where they needed to do something with it. So a gentleman here named Tom Popinchak went out there, basically took it down piece by piece, labeled
what?
every piece, put it in
No
some
way.
shipping containers, brought it here to Pennsylvania, and then put it back up in that order, so that everything is like it would have been in its original state. And so you've got those two. You've got Mantilla, which was in Minnesota, and that's a Finnish word meaning a house among the pines. And
Mm,
then the other one is the Duncan House, which was built in Lisle, Illinois, and that was kind of a modest Usonian, which was Wright's
wow.
term for the United States of North America. And it was kind of a prefab home at the time. Places like Sears were looking at, hey, here are the plans. You just get the materials, you
Yeah.
put it all together, you've got your home. So Wright did some of those, and this is one of those. So we've
Oh,
got two
wow.
Wright homes, and also on Polymath. And I'm sorry if I'm rambling here, but I get
No,
excited.
no, no. This is cool.
So there are two more homes on there that were built by Wright's protege, Peter Burnson. So on Polymath, you get a total of four homes. And the great thing
Wow.
is you can actually spend the night in them. There aren't too many Frank Lloyd Wright homes that are open that you can actually go and spend the night.
Wow. That is a road trip thing, right? See, that's like,
Yes.
yeah, that's, they talk about things that really transform an experience. Like that's insanely cool.
Yeah, because
That
I mean, if
is.
you get to say, "Hey, I got to see falling water today," oh, and I'm spending the night in a Frank
And
Lloyd Wright
and the
home.
proteges, do you know, like they went through hell with him. Like I'm just saying, they did. There was a house that a bed and breakfast we stayed at. Uh, Leonard at Logan in Grand Rapids, Michigan. It was a brownstone, beautiful brownstone, and next door was a Frank Lloyd Wright house. But he walked out because he had a fight with everybody. Well, come on, he was like that,
Yes.
right?
Oh
He
yeah,
was. If you
he
if you
was not easy to
there was
work
the
with.
Dana house in Springfield, Illinois. Like the woman, like she was paying for it. She wanted this, and he was like, he messed with her back. Like you don't tell me what to do. This is what I want. This is how it goes with nature. And she just anyway. It's a fun story, but um, this house in Grand Rapids, like he walked out, and the protege had ended up finishing it. So it's like a half Lloyd Wright house. What I mean?
He was an architectural genius, but yeah, I'm not sure I would have wanted to work with him.
I know, but so that's why I said when you talk about proteges, like sometimes I think we really need to give them more like kudos than what people realize because if they're working with, I think every genius has a temperament at
Yeah.
times. So, but that's the thing when you go to these places, you get those backstories, right? When people go to like the Lloyd Wright homes and things like that. But he worked within nature. He wanted to be part of nature, and this region, did that attract him? Just the natural beauty of your area? I mean, the four seasons, you've got like amazing four seasons. That's something I wanted
Yes.
to touch on.
So and actually this brings me to another point. The You talked about him, the things he did in southwestern Pennsylvania. There's actually a whole collection right now at the National Building Museum in Washington, D.C. It's an exhibit called Frank Lloyd Wright Southwestern Pennsylvania. And it's an
Wow.
incredible exhibit. It was here in the Laurel Highlands last year at the Westmoreland Museum of American Art. And what it is they put together these videos of from his drawings, from things that he had planned for southwestern Pennsylvania. And so these are incredible videos of what these structures would have looked like had they actually been built, because he did some designs for the city of Pittsburgh as far as like a convention center and an apartment complex, like condos, like up on Mount Washington. And it's just incredible to see what these would have looked like. Now,
Mm,
Wright was also known for exorbitant cost overruns. So I think it probably was a factor of, hey, we just don't have the money to do this, because we know that whatever you tell me is going to be twice
that's
what it
funny.
costs anyway. So it didn't end up happening, but it's amazing to see these and the plans that he had for southwestern Pennsylvania. So yeah, I think he really did enjoy what he found here and the natural landscapes that he could work with.
Mm. Now the Four Seasons, with that, with you guys, I mean, right now we're in the summer, so obviously gorgeous and green and flowers and waterfalls. You have waterfalls, which is
Yes.
awesome. But I do want people to look ahead. Is fall a big season for you?
Fall, and I every year, like right now, I'm like, okay, I love summer. Like this is the most beautiful, everything is green and lush, and it's just so gorgeous. Like I went for a walk yesterday and I couldn't stop taking pictures because there were just so many landscapes that just
Yeah.
catch your eye. But then I get to fall and I'm like, okay, no, fall is definitely my favorite season here. Like it is unbelievable. And again, those different viewpoints that you get from the elevation changes. And last year, we actually won the USA Today designation of the top fall foliage destination in the US. Keystone State Park won that. So, I mean,
Wow.
we're beating out, Vermont and New Hampshire and these places that you
Well,
think
don't
of.
push it or anything, right?
Well,
You're
hey,
gonna get some rivals now.
I'll put our landscapes up against anybody. I mean, it is absolutely gorgeous here.
Yeah, because we've driven through it. Like I remember we would just like, let's go through this way, and all of a sudden it just we were like on these winding roads with just epic views. Like
Mhm.
I was just like, this is what they're talking about. Like, I'm from the Southwest, so I'm like, holy cow, like this stuff exists. And I remember just seeing like swaths of forest and
Mhm.
then like you this is what's interesting about your region is you can have historic downtowns, quaint, charming, right? Pennsylvania, like you think about that. And then all of a sudden you'll have really modern facilities that can blend. You do this really good job. And I think that's a statewide thing too, but your region too. I was like, wow, you've got this balance of being able to stay with the times, keep up, progress, but also take care of your history, which I think is really important. And you're taking care of your land. That
Mhm.
I mean, I think it's a very real experience. Pennsylvania blew our minds. I mean, honestly, I mean, I can't even tell you. I stayed in a bed and breakfast. We said it was like built in the 1700s. Like, when does that stuff happen?
Right,
Right?
right. Like you're not getting that experience. And I love the West, don't get me wrong, but you're not
I
getting
do too.
those experiences out there because they just didn't exist then.
No, you have to go stay in a cave dwelling, you have to go stay in a cave dwelling at that time. No, but really, but when you come out your way and then you realize these forests have been protected, obviously every place has had their ups and downs in conservation and management and all of that. But when you realize like these forests and these lands, like the native peoples have been through that, their history is there. And then you think about soldiers that have come through too through the Revolutionary War. George Washington came through there, right?
He
And he
did. He
didn't do
served
very
here.
well.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Like we talked about Fort Necessity National Battlefield. That's a part of the National Park System, and that Jumonville Glen was the first battle of the French and Indian War. So I mean, there's
Wow.
incredible history there. The first real military experience for a young George Washington there as well.
Wow. That's amazing. See, no, we didn't do that battlefield yet. Okay. Well, I know.
So
I
you
know
got reason to come back, Lisa.
oh,
We've got lots more
of
for you
course
to
we do.
see.
I know, but I want to see the laurel. How long does the laurel bloom for? Is it on its way out or still there?
No, it's closer to the end of June, beginning of July that it
Oh,
really
wow,
hits it.
different.
So
Oh, okay. So everyone get on it.
yeah.
Get going, get going. So the Four Seasons, you've got some historic sites for people to see, experience. Um, what about lodgings when we think about history, staying in a place like a bed and breakfast that's really old? Are you more resorts, bed and
We
breakfasts?
we have
Like,
a really nice mix. I mean, you can go from anything from, yeah, some from some historic places that you can stay, like the historic Summit Inn. You can go to, obviously we've got primitive camping and things like that. We've got
Oh,
glamping. We've got
ooh,
incredible RV resorts and places like that that you can stay. And then, obviously the Airbnbs, we've got some incredibly unique lodging there. Like we have tree houses that you can stay in. We have
ooh,
hobbit houses. They're all these different
woo,
things. Yeah, and one of the things that I know, like we work a lot in Baltimore, like we've sponsored the Baltimore Ravens, and we go there, and everybody would ask us, "Do you have cabins? Can we stay in like a cabin in the woods?" And we're like, "Yeah, we've got tons of cabins. This is the perfect place to come, especially in the winter. Come and stay in a cabin and go skiing, or come in the summer and enjoy all the greenery." So we've got all that, and then if you want to go really high end, we have a place called Nemacolin, which I don't know if you've been to Nemacolin.
I was waiting for you to say it so that you would
Yes,
say it instead of me because I'd
It's
butcher it.
pronounced Nemacolin, and it is simply amazing. Like I have a friend from Utah who
Mm,
came in last year. He was coming in for a football game actually in West Virginia because we're not too far from the West Virginia line,
mm,
and he wanted to stay here in the Laurel Highlands. I said, "You got to stay at Nemacolin." And so he came in and he brought in a resort owner from Utah who actually has a resort there. And I had dinner with them after they stayed there, and they were just in awe of it. Like they said, "I've never seen anything like this." These people have traveled the world pretty extensively, have been a lot of places, but there really aren't many places like Nemacolin. And just
mm.
because it offers so many different experiences, you can go dog sledding in the winter, you can do Jeep off-road tours, you have five-star fine or dining and four-star dining, and you've got incredible lodging there. You've got the chateau, which is just about to reopen now. It's been closed for some renovations, or as they like to say, reimagining.
Ooh,
So they're going to reopen that soon, and it's incredible. It looks like it was designed after the Ritz in Paris. So
mm.
it's this incredible facade, just an incredible place. They actually filmed a season of The Bachelor there during
Oh, wow.
COVID. Yeah, they had the COVID bubble, so they filmed the entire season at Nemacolin. But it's a
Oh,
2,200 acres, just a huge resort. It's got that. It's got also the Grand Lodge, which just reopened, and it has Falling Rock, which is sort of a nod to Frank Lloyd Wright, kind of inspired by him. So you've got these three incredible different places you can stay there, plus some different homes on the property. Lots of options there. Butler service at all of them.
wow.
Just incredible pools and spas, and I mean, it's amazing. I don't know how we could probably spend the entire episode talking about Nemacolin if we wanted to.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, when it comes to lodgings, because you've got like a lot that you can go exploring, right? So we talk about road tripping and doing, and it's 4 seasons. So like you're
Mhm.
bringing up winter, which is important because, these are magical places in the winter, to experience and fun. And spring, then spring's that exciting time. We love spring, but
Yeah.
getting into like where you stay, are people able to stay somewhere then just like kind of walk out or be close to, because I know you've got a lot of museums, a lot of amazing restaurants, you've got the arts as well we should touch on, but from your lodging, is there easy access? And where, like, let's talk about accessibility, because where your lodgings are, if someone, where are they going to fly in from, where's the closest airport? You're talking about Baltimore, you're not far from those places, so we talk about Southwest Pennsylvania. So give people like the major cities that are kind of your back door that come visit, and
So
then how to get
sure.
there.
So Pittsburgh is the closest one, and we're actually
Sure.
we've got to make sure I get the verbiage right. But we are preferred vacation destination of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So that's something that we just had recently.
Wow.
Pittsburgh is the closest big city to us. It is about 60 miles away. So depending on where you're coming, the Laurel Highlands is actually a 3,000 square mile region. We represent 3 counties. So, it's a rather large region, but yeah, we're not that far from Pittsburgh. That's the closest international airport if you want to fly in to come here. But we do have in Latrobe, which is a part of the Laurel Highlands, we have the Arnold Palmer airport there because Arnold Palmer,
Oh,
the legendary golfer from
yeah.
Latrobe, as is Mr. Rogers, the children's talk show, or
No
the
way.
children's program host. Yeah. So Latrobe, and we're off topic here a little bit, but Latrobe, the home
Oh,
to those two.
it's okay.
Plus, they invented the banana split in Latrobe. So some pretty good history for a little town of
Well,
about
I heard
10,000.
that you've got like one of the first McDonald experiences too.
Yes, so the Big Mac was also invented in the Laurel Highlands. So, there's so many things we can talk about.
All
The
right, so
hard thing
that's
is reining me in so that I'm,
I know,
keeping
but
on
I'm
one
no, but
topic.
I love this. I love this. So okay, so Pittsburgh, you got Latrobe. Okay, so Pittsburgh, Latrobe is one of the main
Yeah,
destinations, and
Latrobe
then
has some daily flights from Florida and also in the summer from Myrtle Beach. So that's an easy one to get to. And just outside of the Laurel Highlands is Johnstown, which has flights from Chicago and DC. So we're pretty easy to get to. And if you're a driver, we're 23% of the US population is within a day's drive of the Laurel Highlands. So it's a
okay,
really easy place to get to. We're between DC, Baltimore, Philadelphia, even New York isn't too far, Cleveland, Columbus, Cincinnati, they're all within a 5 or 6 hour drive, basically.
close to Kentucky because that's what's interesting. Okay, now I'm going to derail. Kentucky is known for bourbon, but apparently you've got whiskey too. Just got to
So
bring it
not
up.
only do we have whiskey, but we are considered the birthplace of American whiskey.
What?
Because yes, so whenever whiskey, if you were talking in the 18th century, if somebody said whiskey, they were talking about Monongahela rye. They weren't talking about bourbon then. It was Monongahela rye was what was considered whiskey. And so Monongahela rye kind of fell out of favor after a while. It's making a huge comeback now though.
Well, yeah.
And so we do have a great history there. Actually, the oldest whiskey in America, the oldest continually distilled one, is from the Laurel Highlands. It's called Old Overholt. And Jim Beam now owns it, but it was started here
Oh,
in the Laurel Highlands in West Overton, which West Overton has just opened up a really cool exhibit. And I actually had to call them today and say, hey, am I allowed to talk about this yet? Can I tell Big Blend Radio about this yet?
yes,
Said, yes, go ahead. So it
yes.
is called the James B. Beam Pennsylvania Whiskey Heritage Center. And I got a sneak peek of it a little while ago, and it is just the coolest place. It's got so much history there. They've got so much in terms of because back then, I mean, there were dozens of whiskey manufacturers here in the Laurel Highlands because most of these were farmers who they grew corn and they could use some of the corn, but they were like, how do we store this corn? What can we do with it? So they distilled it into whiskey. And they actually used that to barter for a long time. And there's a thing called the Whiskey Rebellion, which happened when the US
That's
government
right.
wanted to tax them on that whiskey.
Yeah.
So they actually rebelled against that. But again, yeah, Laurel Highlands is just steeped in
Huh.
history of whiskey. And West Overton Museum is a great place. They have an educational distillery there. You can learn all about the process. Plus, you can get a taste of it. You can buy a bottle. Great one there. And then we just had also the open last year is called Pond Fay Distillery. And this is the largest distillery in Pennsylvania. And it is also really dedicated to the history of that Monongahela rye. And so
Wow.
they started a few years ago. They actually had to distill it. They didn't have the equipment yet. So they got all of the rye from Pennsylvania, trucked it down south, distilled it there, and then let it age for a couple
Wow.
of years. And now they're selling it here in the Laurel Highlands.
That's exciting. I
Yeah,
mean,
it is.
now
And the
they had to
ISWA
have
members, they
moonshiners.
love this. Yeah, they're
You,
really excited about this history.
yeah, you've had to have moonshiners then. You had to. I mean,
Oh
that's
yeah,
the other thing when
absolutely.
you're talking about being part of the Appalachians, and that's what I think people forget. It's not just, North Carolina and south of that and Kentucky, but that connection with Kentucky is so close. And that's how I know you. And I think also coming in through Cincinnati area, I think we've done it both ways. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, we oh man, did we really do your state well in your area, but not, it was like when everything was closed during COVID, like it was just now we have to revisit. But I'm like, that's that feeling like you're in these beautiful areas and you can get a feel for the area. And you're like, but I want in. Let me in.
Well,
Let
come
me
back,
in.
Lisa. We're
Let
open
me
now. You can
in.
come in.
Let me in. I knew there were waterfalls. Where do we see the waterfalls? that's something magical, because I think that's something that not everyone gets to see a waterfall in their life. And we take it for granted when you do see them and when you're hikers and things like that, and maybe live in an area where you have waterfalls, but not everybody gets to see a waterfall.
Well, I'll tell
Think
you,
about that, you know?
the place to come to, so there's a tiny little town called Ohio Pile, which is not, as one writer asked me if that means it's a pile of Ohio's. No, it's not. It's a Native American word that means white frothy waters. So that's
Mm.
really the white water, and it's a whitewater mecca for whitewater rafting lovers. But Ohio Pile is the coolest little town. And when I say little town, I am not kidding you, Lisa. They say that there are about 13 year-round residents in Ohio Pile.
Wow.
Now, the census says there are 30, but they're not there the whole time. They're there in the summer, maybe, but not year-round. But Ohio Pile attracts about 1 million visitors per year.
How do
Yes,
they
to
do
this
this?
little
Okay, come on.
this little 2 block long stretch of town, because it's surrounded by Ohio Pile State Park, which is 20,000 acres. And it is just the
Wow.
best adventure town that you can imagine. It's got the whitewater rafting, which is some of the best in the Mid-Atlantic, probably the best in the Mid-Atlantic, certainly. It's got the Great Allegheny Passage Bike Trail, which you talked about, that is the first ever Rails to Trails Hall of Fame inductee. It goes right through Ohio Pile. So again, I'm bouncing around a little bit, but you can ride the Great Allegheny Passage from Pittsburgh. You can get on your bike in Pittsburgh, ride 150 miles to Cumberland, Maryland. And then if you're really adventurous, you can switch over to the C&O Canal towpath and ride
Oh,
that the
yes.
whole way to Washington, D.C. So you've got
Ah,
330 miles that you can ride without ever really going on a road. It's a path.
that I have a friend who's done all of that. And he's sadly passed now, but he cycled the entire perimeter of the country and then
Wow.
walked across the country. He's done the Appalachian, well, he did part majority of it and did the Pacific Crest Trail. It was a retired earth science teacher. So everyone, listen, these adventures, you don't have to do the whole 150 miles or whatever in one swoop. It's like
Well,
these progressive, amazing things. You could check into it, the next town, and spend a couple days, you know?
Well, and the amazing thing now is with the rise of e-bikes, it's so easy now to go to Ohio Pile and go to one of our outfitters there and say, hey, I want to rent an e-bike. And so you can hop on the e-bike, and depending on how much effort you want, you can pedal most of it. You can use it as an
Mm.
assist, or you can use it a lot more, but you can see a lot of the trail in that amount of time without quite as much effort. So there are great ways to do that. There are tours as well that will help you, because if you're riding that trail, even if you're up for 150 miles, you have to figure out, okay, how do I haul all my stuff? How do I do this? So
Right.
they'll work with you. They'll plan it all out. They'll say, hey, you can have you at a B&B here. We'll pick up your equipment. We'll take your luggage from town to town. So it really does make it easy for you to get out there and enjoy this.
So this is like all these different ways. We've got road trips, we've got cycling. What about walking? Like if you just want to well, we've got hiking for sure, right? In all these
Yes.
parks.
So Ohio Pile, another thing, the
Yeah,
Laurel Highlands hiking trail is a 70-mile trail that starts in Ohio Pile and ends in Johnstown. So you can do that 70
yeah.
miles. And this is one of my favorite things to do. Like, I love the Laurel Highlands hiking trail. And I haven't done any of the Appalachian Trail, but what I understand is, the Appalachian Trail, you have to pretty much carry
Hmm.
a tent, do it yourself. Here, they've got great shelter areas about every 10 miles, 8 to 10 miles. So it makes it perfect to stop off there and spend the night.
You can do it. I mean, it's like we don't have to be Grandma Gatewood, all of us, but like I bow down to that woman. She was like the queen of it all, right? She was, I mean, it wouldn't be what it is today if it wasn't for her and her amazing hiking of the trail. And she had nothing when she went out there. She didn't have REI sponsor or anything,
Yeah.
she had nothing when she went out there as a grandma. That's why she's Grandma Gatewood. And she did it and more than once. But that's the exciting thing. I think people want to get it. It's, I think, like glamping and things like that have gotten people that are a little nervous of the outdoors but want to have that experience, have been that kind of segue of comfort to kind of go, okay, wait, now I've got my feet wet, now I can go a little bit more adventurous. And I think what you're talking about, like with the shelters in on the APT, it is that really helps people just kind of get their feet wet to do it,
Mhm.
to have those experiences that kind of push them outside the comfort zone, right? And that's part of why we travel, isn't it? Like spending the
Yeah.
night, I'm sorry, in the Frank Lloyd Wright house to me would be pretty cool because you'd be there and you're going to have that time to look at the details that he made. Like, why did he do this here?
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Where you're going to sit with that for a while, and maybe that will help you in your own creativity in your own career, even
Yeah.
in life.
Absolutely. And there are just so many things to see, like you said, and I haven't been fortunate enough to actually get to spend the night in one of the Frank Lloyd Wright homes, but just touring them, as many times as I have, you get to pick up so much each time. Like
Mm.
every time I go, I learn something new about it.
Mm, that's awesome. Now we got to go back to food. Okay, we talked about McDonald's, right? But I know we want to go beyond the McDonald's. Even that's called banana splits. That's fun. Mr. Rogers had to be near a banana split. Come on, that just kind of feels right, right? But it kind of feels like that kind of area to do that. But let's talk about food when people, there's obviously these resorts that have wonderful restaurants too, but give us a little overview of what we can eat.
Well, let me go back for 1 minute to Polymath Park. So, in addition to the
Hmm.
Frank Lloyd Wright homes, addition to the Protege homes that you get to spend the night in, they have an incredible restaurant on property. It's called Treetops Restaurant. And they have, I believe they're up to about 10 dining pods now that are built up into the trees. So, it's
No
like
way.
treehouse dining. Yes, it's an incredible experience. And you can combine it with the tours. They do lunch, they do dinner, they even do brunch. So you can combine these, you can take a tour of the homes and have the meal. And it's just such a cool thing because they're either 4 or 6 person pods. So it's a really intimate experience. You're away from everybody else. You can just
Wow.
enjoy the company you're with and enjoy the amazing dining experience.
That's cool. I mean, the last time I experienced something like that unique, obviously there's like you're talking about, you could stay up in the trees in these like tree cabins, and come on, that brings a kid out of all of us, right? Didn't we all love our tree houses? Come on.
Absolutely.
We did. And yeah, now I'm gonna that my mind just goes there and I go back in 20 years and I'll never come out. Um, but when we lived in Africa, we also lived in Kenya, and there's a place that was called Treetops. And what it was is this resort that ran on solar way back when. I mean, we're
Oh,
talking about the
wow.
80s, right? 70s, 80s. And at night, you would be overlooking a water hole looking at animals out in the bush, but you're up in the trees in the Aberdare forest. That's where it was. Yeah. And so it was this experience of really being in, you were in it.
Yeah.
And that's I was a kid at that time, and it was like, wow, mom, this is cool. And Nancy's all like, Nancy, my mom, she was just like, this is it. She's an artist, she's a wildlife person, like, just leave me here. But I think we need to have these experiences to kind of calm down. I mean, that's a way of forest bathing without being told you're forest bathing.
That's a great point, and that's a lot of what the Laurel Highlands is just that ability to kind of unplug and
Mhm.
get out here and enjoy the nature and the opportunities that we have because there are just so many of them. We have 8 state parks and 2 state forests and over 100,000 acres of public use lands. So it's just such a great opportunity. And of course, we want you to come here and spend your money and do all the fun things, but there's so many things that you can do for free here too, just to get out
Mm.
and go for a hike.
Wow.
Ohio Pile also has a natural water slide area where you hop in there. I think I'm probably past the age limit now. It's a little too adventurous for me at this point in life, but you see these young people hop in there and slide down the rocks and just an
That's fun
incredible
though.
experience. Yeah.
But I think, the budget thing is important to talk about for families. I mean, if you've got two, three kids, four kids, like, come on, you need a break so that you can go to have dinner. It's like,
Exactly. And again, this is part of where, if you're able to drive here, you save so much money because you
mm,
look at the cost of airline tickets now. If you're trying to fly those kids, and your spouse, and it gets really expensive when you're doing all that. So to be able to drive here, come in, you can stay. We've got all those different levels of lodging depending on whether you want to splurge on the lodging or whether you want to do, the RV resort, or whatever it is. You can go,
Yeah.
there's different options. And then, yeah, you can go hiking. You can bring your bikes if you're driving in and go biking for free. There's so many options here
So
to
road
do it
trip.
on a budget. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing because you're so big in your region that you really do want your car, even if you rent it and you
Yeah.
fly and rent it. But like it is a little bit more budget friendly, and you guys have better gas prices than the rest of the country, as I recall. I'm just saying. I don't know now. I don't know. I
Yeah.
haven't. I need to
I
cross
wouldn't go
over.
that far. I was just in Texas, and I know theirs were better than ours, but
Oh, really? Yeah,
yeah.
because I would go back and forth between both states, and you guys were on par. But there were some moments when I went, "Is this for real?" After going from California, let me just
Yeah,
say, "Hey,
definitely
Californians,
cheaper
you want a
better.
budget-friendly destination? Get out, go here." I'm just saying that it's good. And don't you guys have like a state? Is it just certain parts of Pennsylvania for shopping that there's like a you don't charge as much retail tax or something? Or is
So
that certain parts?
yeah, the taxes in Pennsylvania, only certain things are taxed. Not everything is taxed. There's not sales tax on everything. So like prepared food there is, but not groceries. So
See, what about clothes when people go clothes shopping?
clothing, and now you're testing me. I'm trying to think.
Okay,
No, I
that
don't
could be
think
a
there is
regional
on
thing.
clothing. Yeah, I don't
Okay,
think
it's a
there is on
regional thing.
clothing.
I know, I don't know why I came up with that, but I just went, people want to shop. That's what, our listeners, I
Well,
find
and
out
and
that shopping's a thing.
So let me tell you, you mentioned before some of the quaint little towns. The town where our office is in is called Ligonier, and it always makes the list of the top Hallmark towns. And, kind of that
Oh,
quaint little, whether you're coming here for the holidays and you get to see it at Christmas, and we've got the gazebo out in the
we want the
diamond, we
gazebo.
call it. It is such a cool little town, and it's so walkable and shoppable. There are boutique shops all over the area. There are galleries, just so much to do here, and you get that quaint little small town experience.
Hmm. Well, you mentioned galleries, and that was one thing I did want to touch on the show. We talked a little bit about the culinary arts and, Frank Lloyd Wright and architecture, but the art scenes, do you have a lot of artists? I know that nature calls brings in the artists, you
We
know?
do, and there's some different options. I mean, we've got some galleries, we've got some traditional things, but then we've got something like the Touchstone Center for Crafts too, which is amazing. They really embrace that natural aspect that you're talking about. It's on a 150-acre campus, and they bring in artists who are kind of in residency there and do work. But then they also open it up to the public. And like last year, my wife and I went and we did a date night there, and they had a blacksmithing class, and that was one of the coolest things that
That's
we've
cool.
done. Yeah, so you get to actually make something. We made a hook that we actually forged in the fire, and we hammered it, and we worked on it together. And so it's just a really neat experience. And again, not super expensive. It's a nice date night out. You get to enjoy it. You got some kind of charcuterie afterward,
Mm,
and just a
cool.
really special experience, and something that we'll never forget.
That's cool. Very cool. And then the arts in regards to the performing arts, do you have that in your
We
area?
do. We have theaters here. We have different things. So yeah, they're again, we're a 3 county region, so each of them have kind of their different things, and
Mm.
and their different places. But yeah, absolutely, you can come in here. You can see musical acts. You can see theater. You can see great artists. Just all kinds of things going on
I
in the
bet
arts
your
area.
festivals are insane in your
They
area
are.
because
And
of
I
the
actually did a podcast
uh,
earlier today where I spent the whole half hour just talking about our summer festivals and all the things that are going on. Like we have one to kind of merge the art and the festivals in Somerset, that one of the towns here, they have what's called Chalk the Block. And it's a street festival where they bring in artists from all over the country, and they make scenes on the street. They do it in chalk. And so,
oh,
you've got these incredible 3D art renderings that look like you're going to fall into a
I
big
love
hole
that.
where there's
Yeah, right.
a
That's cool.
T-Rex coming at you, and
I
you're
like
like,
that.
how do they come up with this? How do they figure out the angles to do all this to make it look like it's really three-dimensional?
Isn't that wild when you see public art like that? I think we were in Oklahoma and it was like I kept going and photographing at different angles, going, Like, no, you can't bust this. This is for real. They did it. They did it right on every angle. And no matter what, I went there like 2 to 3 times a day just to look at it. And it changed every time because they had water and deer and like, all this wildlife. And I was like, no way, no way. And then it was connected to a skateboard park. So it was like this whole weird thing. Like it was cool. I don't want to say it's weird. That was not the right word, but it was. It was kind of like, okay, you could be skateboarding through the water, but you don't know.
Wow. Yeah, that
That's
sounds really
cool.
interesting. Yeah.
But that's why it's
And
connected with that chalk, that you sit and it does. I love it when you can experience art that really just kind of like stays with you, you
well,
know?
and it kind of brings it to the masses too, because you don't have to go into a gallery to experience it. You're literally walking down the street
Yes.
and maybe you're going to a food vendor and on the way you're like, oh wow, look at this one, this is incredible.
Hmm.
So it really does kind of bring that to the masses where it's not, just in one place that you have to go to see that art.
I love that about festivals and I love that about public art. We're huge about public art. We actually have a map that we're doing a public art across America because it's such a way of, murals and everything in towns really show like that a town cares about their history,
Mhm.
about what they're about. And it normally starts with one mural that shows a little bit of everything about the history of the community. So if you arrive and everybody's closed up for the day, you get a gist of where you are standing and what went down,
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Yeah. Yeah.
so it's cool. And during COVID, that was a great thing for everyone to be able to do. you know but although those days are over, thank goodness. But there is so much going on. I wanted to touch on this before you go, but there's like, obviously, I mean, you sent me this list that is like, we just keep printing on the printer, right? um there's a lot. So everyone go laurelhighlands.com. But the International Food Wine Travel Writers Association's conference is coming up this fall and will be up in upstate New York. But then you are part of this with a media trip for some of the writers, right? So that's going to be exciting.
Yeah, I'm very excited. We're bringing in, I believe, 8 to 10 writers going to come in, I'll pick them up at the Pittsburgh airport, bring them here to the Laurel Highlands, show them around, do some of these things that we talked about, Nemacolin and Seven Springs Mountain Resort, seeing falling water and all these things, doing the treetop dining. So just a
Ooh,
great experience. And then one of the other things that we did briefly mention, but didn't get into too much, is the Flight 93 National Memorial, which,
right.
if you haven't been there, I think every American should
Hmm.
get there at some point. It's a really moving experience.
Hmm.
It's not like most of our things that we say, okay, this is, come here and have fun, but it is something that I think every American should see at some point, just to appreciate, especially those of us who lived through it. We're getting to the point now where we've got adults who don't remember September 11th, but for
Whoa.
those of us who do,
Yeah.
because we're almost 25 years out now, so it's getting to
Wow.
that point. But it's important to realize what those brave men and women aboard that flight did, and kind of helped defend America and prevent that from getting to Washington, D.C. and the Capitol. And so, prevented even further tragedy on that day. So a lot of things to come in and see and do for the
Mhm.
IFTWA members. Really excited about that. And then we're going to get to travel with them. I'll be at the IFTWA conference in Corning as well, and get to interact with some more people there. So lots of things going on there, and really looking forward to being a part of that.
That means you get to go play in your neighborhood, right? Is that it?
Exactly, exactly. I know I've
You
got a
can-
tough job, right? I have to go to
It's
Falling
really
Water
hard.
again.
Well, do you get a banana split at the end? Like, come on. You
We'll
want the
see if we
banana
can work
split?
that in. We'll have to
Y-
we'll have to try to make it work. Yeah, get it
Yeah,
all
there you
set up.
go. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Eric, for joining us here. Again, everyone go laurelhighlands.com. And if you are wondering about the International Food Wine Travel Writers Association, they're an awesome organization to join, whether you're a destination, a CVB, or a travel writer, photographer, even an author, a winemaker, you name it. Go to ifwtwa.org. And of course, keep up with us at bigblendradio.com. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Big Blend Radio's Food, Wine, and Travel Show, featuring members of the International Food, Wine, Travel Writers Association. We encourage you to visit their website. We say IFTWA, which is ifwtwa.org. You can also follow us at bigblendradio.com. Happy travels, everyone.